Basic terms of fractions. Integers. These are the whole numbers. They can be negative. Here we have some integers in order. There's 0 is an integer, and they can be positive. They're whole numbers. Fractions are used to express numbers that occur in between integers, or amounts that you find that are not integers but somewhere in between. Fractions are written in the form of a over b, where a and b are both integers. For example, 4 over 9, with a line between them. Some numbers can't be written like this. The ones that can be are called rational numbers, and the ones that can't be are called irrational numbers. So pi, which is 3.1415926 and goes on forever with no recurrence, no repeating part, and square root of 2, which is 1.414213, and that goes on forever with no recurrence, are examples of irrational numbers. They cannot be written as fractions with complete accuracy, only approximated. And the decimals for these never end, but they have no recurring part. Parts of a fraction. The number you find on the bottom is the denominator. That shows how many parts a whole one has been divided into. The number on the top is the numerator. It shows how many pieces we have. So a fraction like a over b, a is the numerator, that's the top, b is the denominator, that's the bottom. For example, 4 over 11, 4 is the numerator, 11 is the denominator. And what this means is we've got 4 pieces where each piece is the size of, and then we look at the bottom, one whole divided into 11 equal pieces. Other ways fractions can be expressed. A fraction such as a over b is equal to a divided by b. For example, 11 over 17 is equal to 11 divided by 17. You get the same quantity or amount or number, the same number, if we divide the numerator, which is the top of a fraction, by the denominator, which is the bottom. And here we see that any number such as a can be written as a over 1. So this a is not a fraction, but written like this, a over 1, it is a fraction. Of course, a divided by 1, and we've just been through that here, is equal to a. So, for example, 13 can be written as a fraction, 13 over 1. Any integer can be written as a fraction with a denominator of 1. And of course, you can go the other way. 13 divided by 1 or 13 over 1 is a fraction, can be written as just 13. Types of fraction. Common fractions, the fraction is expressing a ratio of 2 integers rather than as a decimal. So there's an integer 3, there's an integer 4. This is a form of a ratio. I won't go into why that is, but that is a fraction, a common fraction. It's equal to 0.75, but this is a decimal. 0.75 is not a common fraction. 3 over 4 is a common fraction. Proper fraction is one where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So here we've got 19, that's smaller than 36, so that is a proper fraction. An improper fraction is one where the numerator is larger than the denominator. For example, 117 which is bigger than the bottom, which is 80. This is an improper fraction. A reducible fraction is one that doesn't use the smallest possible integers. If it did, it would be a simplified fraction. For example, 15 over 25, these numbers can be made smaller and it can remain equal or unchanged in amount. It can be written as 3/5. We'll look at how to do that in a minute. But this 15 over 25 is a reducible fraction, and it can be simplified to 3 over 5, which is a simplified fraction. This can't be simplified further. If it could be, it would be a reducible, not a simplified fraction. Now I've dealt with here the numerator if it's smaller than the denominator, and here if the numerator is larger than the denominator. So I know you're going to ask what happens when they're the same. So I'll put that down here. When the numerator and denominator are the same, the quantity is 1. For example, 14 over 14 is equal to 1 whole 1. 14 divided by 14 is 1, and 14 pieces, where each piece is the size of a whole cut into 14 pieces, means you've got the whole thing, which is 1. Mixed numbers. These are ones containing a whole number integer, which is an integer part, and a fractional part. For example, 3, there's the whole number integer part, and this 19 over 36 is the fractional part. And we think of this as 3 whole ones plus 19 over 36 as a fraction of a further whole one. It's not 3 times 19 over 36. So when we write it like this, it's 3 and 19/36. And these always express numbers greater than 1 because this integer here is going to be 1, 2, 3 or 4 or something like that, plus the fractional part. Compound fractions, these are ones where the numerator and or the denominator are themselves fractional in some way. So for example, here's the line, the big line. The numerator is 2 over 3, that's a fraction. And the denominator is 3 and 19/36, and that is fractional as well. You don't tend to come across these very often in your GCSE type work.